Game 2 is upon us. Rogue Warriors taking on Snake in Chongqing. And so far, it looks like Rogue Warriors have got the antidote. They have got the solution to enter into the Snake pit and step away largely unscathed, but for a few fights in that game 1.
A couple of bites here and there, but Snake isn't all that poisonous today, it doesn't seem. There's a couple of weaknesses in the roster that it seems to be where there may be weaknesses. More importantly than that, there's strengths from Rogue Warriors. And I think that's where the biggest difference has been so far throughout this set. Of course, it's only been one game. Now's a great chance for Snake to hit the drawing board, come back and redraft themselves into a better scenario. And I like what they tried in the first game. The analyst desk mentioned it. The bans made a lot of sense. It was very sound. I think what they would look at coming into this second game is actually the picks more than it was the bans. And the pick order specifically, perhaps giving some control to the middle lane again to Guoguo. I think that mid lane priority is super important. And I don't think the junglers had the biggest impact, so to speak, on that first game.
Yeah, we saw that priority for Rise in the likes of that mid lane. Very first pick, blue side for Snake, and it worked out well. During the game, we pointed out he was 4-0-1 for a significant period of time, but then leaving that bottom lane open for so long. You talk about the strengths, but we've got to look at some of those weaknesses as well. Crystal on that Tristana was down, what, 70, 80 CS by the end of the game?
Yeah, we saw an absolutely fantastic game from Rogue Warriors in the AD carry role, but then you contrast that to Snake, and the Tristana wasn't really all there. It was a little bit lackluster from him. Now, there was a lot of pressure against him, the Caitlyn specifically having Tahm Kench behind him, Kahlua, at any moment to just save him from an AD carry trade-off, and Caitlyn always had an item advantage. These things were spilled over from other lanes, so yes, you could attribute the poor play from Crystal and Hudier to the rest of the map, influencing them. But at the same time, they could draft differently to enable themselves a little bit more. The Caitlyn priority from SMLZ was great, and the other bans that were removed, the Varus was gone, the Braum was gone. They got rid of these other options that could have been picked by Snake. So coming into that next game, I think the AD carries and the bottom lane is the place where a little bit more focus should be from Snake. And whether that is a Varus to enable ganks, whether it is the Caitlyn for themselves to have the push and the range advantage and to force the pressure on the Rogue Warriors, it's all there.
Well, you can already see that things are starting to heat up in Chongqing as the coach of Snake very strongly telling his team to get themselves.
Yeah, they certainly do. Now, Snake, you can see the coach, you mentioned it, he's always that angry. He's always going to be, I don't know if it's
even when
angry.
They win,
Let's say it's stern.
Emphatic.
He is a stern man.
Yes.
He loves himself some yelling. But Snake, I mean, it's a good motivational thing for them, of course. If things go their way, they'll be able to get that extra hype behind him. He's a bit Coach Carter-esque. I was watching that last night. It reminds me of the Snake coach just a little bit.
Yes, but now it appears that we might be ready to get into pick and ban for this game 2. As Snake have now made their way back on stage. They are really trying to get in here and bring this game back. Such a passionate crowd. Of course, Snake does not want to drop any more games here against the likes of Rogue Warriors, who have not dropped a series since January.
Yes, now, this is still first versus second, but Snake, for some reason, start to feel more and more like the underdogs. We've seen some inconsistencies from them, and we're continuing to see growing strengths from the Rogue Warriors roster, and now is the perfect opportunity for Snake to not turn the ship around, but turn on the acceleration once more, push forwards, get that momentum going for themselves again, and finish off cross-conference with a W.
Very well could see how this works out as Camille, Azir, and Vladimir, the exact same bans from Rogue Warriors, but this time they find themselves on blue side. Snake, on the other hand, banning away Sion, and now also targeting away that Rise. Don't want to give that freedom to Doinby in the mid lane, knowing how proficient he is on that champion. As we get into our final ban, Snake, what on earth did they try to take away? Caitlyn from SMLZ?
Okay, so they don't go towards the Karma like they did last time. Snake, they banned Sion, Karma, and Olaf. Now, 2 of those champions have changed. Rogue Warriors, they could go towards the Olaf if they think it's a high priority champion, knowing full well that Snake may have some answers in place. So, for what it's worth, I like this hover a little bit more than the Olaf.
Tahm Kench being looked at again by Kahlua, doing huge work in that game number 1, moving across the map with Flawless and with SMLZ, even taking Doinby to places that he had never seen before. As now Tahm Kench will be locked in, but that said, Galio locked in for Guoguo. This is the second time he's taken the champion, as SOFM immediately turns and follows it up with an Olaf.
And that's the priority that we expect from SOFM. Now, both of them are Lee Sin main, so it almost felt like we were going to see a game of chicken. But no, the Olaf is going to be the first rotation of junglers from Snake, SOFM. It's a big, powerful champion that a Galio can work incredibly well with. So as the first 2 picks go, This is a great opportunity for Snake to utilize that composition, to go forwards, to get some acceleration in their comp.
And now that is Kha'Zix locked in for Flawless to pair up against the likes of that Olaf. Great in those duels as, whoa, SMLZ locking in Kog'Maw here. Rogue Warriors, they are bringing out all the stops against Snake.
Yeah, the early priority on the Kog'Maw, not knowing the bottom lane that he's against, only knowing that he's got himself a Tahm Kench, but the Caitlyn has been banned, and perhaps that was the only concern that SMLZ had. The only priority that he had was that Caitlyn, was that lane control. But now, if you're Snake, this is exactly the pick you'd be going towards. You get it before the next ban phase. You lock in the Varus like we said before the drafts actually started, and now you can pick any support you want. Braum needs to be banned by Rogue Warriors, you would have to imagine, coming into this next ban phase.
That said, that gives a bit more freedom to Flandre in the top lane. He did a great job on that gangplank in game 1, though he did tragically overextend just a bit during a crucial fight that allowed Rogue Warriors to pick up some momentum. And with red side for Snake, you've got to imagine that if there is a Braum ban from Rogue Warriors, that gives even more freedom to Flandre. As Corki banned away from Doinby.
Yeah.
The question is, who do they save that counter pick for? It's got to be Flandre, right? As Houdier, you want to take that support early.
Yeah, I mean, he knows the bottom lane matchup as well. It just depends if Houdier has a champion that he wants to pick for the comp. I do think most of the priority here from Rogue Warriors would be towards support, but yes, you are last picking on the red side, and you know the enemy 2v2 in the bottom lane. You kind of want to last pick for Flandre and give him a counter, unless, again, there is a priority champion that is shared between the both of them, like the Gnar, that may be a massive priority that they want to lock in early.
There's yet another Karma ban. This is, again, the most received banned champion from Rogue Warriors. Doinby almost never gets to play the champion.
And I expected that. I didn't expect the Corki. That's another interesting ban to be seen towards Doinby in the middle lane, knowing full well that the Cassiopeia is still there, knowing full well, of course, that he plays a wealth of champions in the middle lane. We mentioned the Orianna on the analyst desk as well. He's undefeated on that champion. Lulu is something that's oddly always banned away from him, that he can play in mid lane. Just keep that in your mind.
Now that said, we've got Gangplank and Gnar banned away from Flandre in that top lane as Shen is hovered. Could be a flex pick for Snake. So Rogue Warriors showing that they clearly respect Flandre just a little bit more than Crystal and Houdier, at least after that game 1. As Lulu is locked, you had to say it, Rusty.
Yes, I did. That was a Kog'Maw, man.
And look at SMLZ. He was absolutely enthralled with that.
He just, oh yeah, enthralled. SMLZ was so excited. There's one little movement on the mouse. And so they rounded out with the Cho'Gath as well. Mouse is going to be picking that up for the top lane. A damage-dealing tank to be seen in top as well. I like the pick, but Shen does do quite nicely into it. So again, you would expect that's going to be going towards the top lane. There we go.
Oh, and a Bard locked in for Houdier. Down on that bottom half of the map, Snake, they've got a lot of protection. Shen, Galio, and then Bard to further stall these fights out, but a lot of the weight for their comp is going to rely on Crystal. Didn't have a great game 1.
He's going to be very empowered in this second game to do a lot of damage, though, especially when you look at who's going to be coming towards him. Through the early game, through the mid game. As you hit late game, a Kog'Maw is going to be so thoroughly protected, and a Cho'Gath is just going to one-hit you if you're ever next to him. So it is very important that the protection is there from Snake, and that is something that could be cause for concern. Galio reduces damage incoming, but Cho'Gath's damage is true.
Yeah.
It is always going to hurt you, and the Shen ultimate is just much more pivotal than as a result. Rogue Warriors, they've gone back to their tried and true. Snake, they have picked up a team composition besides the Bard that is very much them, and the Bard is that wild card in the mix.
Yeah, you can see as the coaches shake hands and make their way backstage for this game 2, Snake playing a very mobile comp. The fans have got to really give their team their energy after that game 1, because that was almost a personal defeat by Rogue Warriors. Tailored and sculpted, brutal and efficient. The question is, will they be able to bite back in game 2, or will Rogue Warriors step freely from the Snake Pit unscathed?
I have a feeling that what we saw in game number 1 is about to be seen again through the early stages of this game, Dom. We're going to see junglers meet each other in someone else's jungle, and they're going to fight to the finish. This time around, it's an Olaf and a Kha'Zix. The assassination is there, the isolation is there, but so is the Ravenous Berserker with attack speed at low health, and a Shen Galio to support him.
Oh yeah.
Especially at 6. It will go down.
Returning to their strengths, Snake are going to try to get themselves back into this. as the fans, all eyes are glued to that center screen to see how this is going to play out. We already heard how passionate Rogue Warriors were in Game 1. That said, it seems like they're not that passionate in Game 2.
Oh, they'll get there. It'll happen now.
All right, there it is.
I respect and appreciate that person dearly for the amount of screaming she puts into saying Rogue Warriors.
Sheer volume of it.
But holy moly, Snake is loud in their home arena. The support is still there even though they're 0-1 down, Dom. They are fully ready to support their team to the finish. And they have set themselves up to succeed this time around, Snake. And it may look a little bit awkward through the draft phase. Looking at a Shen Bard combo, there's a lot that could go wrong with their composition as well. Galio's ultimate guaranteed to land in an area when you press it. Things could get awkward quickly. But what we do have to note firstly is that a Varus Bard just demolishes a Tahm Kench from existing. And if that's the case, then what's a little Cog more to do? And that's the thing that scares me as this game starts, as junglers will be pathing from blue and red respectively to the opposite side of the map. If the 2v2 just outright wins from Snake, then what are Rogue Warriors going to do in response?
Perhaps SMLZ could be playing the confidence game, saying, hey, I know how to play against Crystal. I can beat him, even in this difficult matchup as he makes his way down there. SFM's actually going for Gromp here.
Always the innovator, most importantly. Dom, he's gone towards presence of mind and precision. So every time he levels up, no mana cost, he can just throw the axes rampantly at the jungle camps.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing if he passes himself from wolves to red to raptors. He can just smash out the raptor camp at lightning speed with no mana costs for himself. He can kite the camp out a bit better.
In the mid lane, you can see the inspiration, all cooldown, biscuit delivery, and then that presence of mind as well.
As the tenacity also to be seen in precision. Not a bad choice when you're against a bunch of slows and stuns that is going to be seen from Snake's roster. So join me. Of course, mid Lulu is not something you will often see.
SOFM, you devious man. Going for a full topside clear, knows that his bottom lane has presence as well, and just steps in, steals away the Raptors. That said, Flawless is set to match.
Yeah, you know, last game we saw Raptors warded from Flawless, but he never committed to the rest of the jungle. So we'll have to see how he continues to push this one out. Snake know fully well where he could be. And they are trying to protect the jungle camps of SLFM. They're trying to give him that massive CS and level advantage. You can see him starting to run away with it.
Already level 4 to the level 3 of Flawless. SOFM now turning towards his red buff. He's got his cake and he gets to eat it too as he just clears away so much. That said, Flawless seems to be at a bit of a loss for what to do. He's thinking of going top, just places a ward in the tri-bush, but Flandre under the turret at this early level is definitely undiveable on that Shen.
Yeah, quite often you'll see Shens try and bully the Cho'Gath around. If you can taunt him and get the auto attacks with the Vorpal Spikes away from the minion waves, if you can get him away from the minion waves, it's weirdly similar to a Mordekaiser matchup. I don't know why I know that. But if you get him away from the minion waves, then you can out-trade him very nicely. But Flandre is one of those unique beasts when it comes to playing Shen. He's got the Ancient Coin. He's just trying to make some bank.
Not going for the Kleptomancy as we've seen before. Instead, still going for the gold-rich Shen.
And I do have to elaborate on a point that I said earlier. Of course, SOFM going towards the presence of mind, going towards the precision trees. That traditionally Olafs will find themselves wanting to go for Predator. I know often Olafs will choose between Ghost or Flash, and it feels bad to have Flash and to not have the movement speed from Ghost when you're ganking. You're very reliant then on the axe connecting. So Predator was a great way to circumvent that. Give yourself some ganking strength. Now, going towards a completely different build, going towards the on-hit build as well. It feels like he wants people to come to him, or he's not afraid of going at them knowing that his team will have the crowd control for him.
Already we can see the strengths of this bottom lane. Killua flashing onto Hudye, forces one in return.
How did he
Still
hit
manages to land the tongue lash. Spits Hudye back out. Now heal is ready. It's used. SMLZ continues to fight back. Killua backs it away. One auto attack. Crystal's got a flash, and the shield is back up. Flawless out of nowhere helps get first blood for Rogue Warriors.
The literal assassin, by the way, just shows up. SOFM is nearby. He's level 5 to 4, but Flawless, they get themselves that kill contribution. They get that bit of extra experience. This is not going to happen from Hudye.
He's trying to bait them forward still. The Undertow just tags onto Flawless, and Rogue Warriors, now they see SOFM. Now they know they have to push this in.
Yeah, SOFM's actually there to contribute to trying to deny the wave from crashing to the turret. That was a ridiculously large wave that was going to crash to the benefit of Crystal. SOFM is just being a nuisance, honestly. No, never going to get himself a kill.
Stalling out that bottom lane as best he can. But like you said, look at those minions. 8 of them gone. Huche tragically not even getting that one as he's finishing off the few that he can. Finally, Crystal makes his way back, but here it goes again.
Yeah, we get ourselves the replay. Now, Bard's very good against Tahm Kench because the slow amount is equal to the movement speed. So you can walk it out. But that Tahm, man, now I'm surprised that connected. He gets the stun, he gets the eat.
Somehow,
and then hello.
SOFM has found Killua. Undertow penetrates the shield, and that's a solo kill for Snake's SOFM.
It's just relentless, isn't he? SOFM does not want to exit the arena and go back towards jungling. He's finally committed himself to ganking, and now they've committed themselves to cheesing. They know full well that Killua is not available. SMLZ, no heal, but he does have the flash. However, I'm not sure the turret is a safe place.
Oh, stepping forward.
Oh,
he sees it, but that's going to be a quick race over the wall. Challenging Smite. He flashes back. SOFM.
Oh, they're
Stand
diving.
united. They certainly are. He's auto-attacking turret. Hit one. Flandre goes in. He's got the dodge zone, and Hudye gets the kill. Still Flawless is there. Does he have enough? Hey, that's going to be another kill. Turning over
the
Snare.
stun.
And saved by Killua. Holy goodness. This is almost
Doinby's
personal.
here as
Doinby's
well.
back here too. Flash, auto attack. He gets it. He manages to get the knockup. Hudye makes it over the wall. Here comes the grand entrance from Guoguo. He gets in. A double kill for Doinby's Lulu. Guoguo with the taunt manages to lock Killua down. Flawless is still thinking of going back
Crystal.
in. They're looking for him. They've found him. He is dead. And Rogue Warriors, by sheer mechanical skill, are outplaying Snake in their home arena.
Oh my god, everybody is here right now. The fight just continues to happen. No one wants to stop. But the end result is still a massive victory for the side of Rogue Warriors. It started that way with the fight we saw bottom lane. It started with the first kill going to SMLZ, and then the cheese response from Snake. It was there. It worked once. They found themselves Killua, but a second time, no, it's not going to happen. SMLZ spots them in the bush. Everyone just rotates to be here in the first place, and this is that first dive, that first step towards getting a kill, and they do get him. The Acathian surprise at the end. I mean, the true damage is going to secure it. Flawless knows and doesn't want to overexert himself or overstep. And by not overstepping, it saves his life. Now, his life being saved is what gets them the extra kills in the end, alongside Doinby just being here as well. Killua, note during this entire fight, is just auto-attacking. No one will stop him from doing damage. Doinby is the real focus. He was just a byproduct, and a Tahm Kench does a lot of damage if he's not touched.
Now that has to also be, it also has to be said, Mouse with no teleport could not join in. He was pushing in the top lane, 13 CS ahead now, did get some chip damage onto that tier 1. So as we get to that 8-minute mark, already 2,000 gold nearly for Rogue Warriors as Doinby picks up blue. Still, SOFM steps forward into the jungle, invades for a control ward, and is trying to keep his team back on track.
Yeah, the scary thing is the top laner didn't matter from this instance, right? The fact that he was able to farm, he was able to get an experience lead and get some control of that lane. He was also able to get a free recall against the Tiamat Shen that's now starting to push towards him. Is a major victory for Rogue Warriors on a lane that you don't really get a chance to see because it's not going to be a place you're looking. You're meant to be looking at how they come to the rest of the map, and the interesting part about that, Dom, is that they can now. They've got an equal amount of mobility around the map, and they can make that work.
Still, we're seeing the laning phase from the likes of Rogue Warriors. Much closer to even here in this game too, though. Flawless, he's just outside of vision. You can see him on your mini-map. Killua steps forward, that's exhaust. Heal is used, but a tempered fate stalls out Rogue Warrior. Still Flawless is so fast! Moby Boots, he catches Crystal, snipes up for some more. Hudye is the first target, pinned against the wall. He goes low, the dive, as they get another Killua, walks away. Double kill, SMLZ.
Flawless had jumped the entire time as well. He's invisible and he just walks up to them to deal damage. They are relentless when they find themselves the target. The slow from Tahm Kench, the exhaust from Killua as well. He is such a good support, honestly, and he is playing a major part in Rogue Warriors' success in this game too.
Once again, Rogue Warriors focusing their bottom lane. First it was Doinby in game 1, now it's Flawless in game 2. He's 4-1-1 on a Kog'Maw to a 0-3-1 Varus. Even being kind enough to help contribute over this Infernal Dragon. Rogue Warriors seems like they have got Snake down to a T.
I mean, they really do, and it's where they're strong, trying to exploit where Snake are weak. We're seeing that completely exploited. get themselves the Drake. Doinb, a supportive mid laner. That means that mid is basically nullified. That's exactly what Rogue Warriors want, because they want them both to roam. Top lane, I mean, we saw a Shen ult, but it didn't mean a great deal in the end as well. And look at the gold difference in mid lane.
Mid and AD carry, nearly 1,400 for the both of them, as Blade of the Ruined King was just finished by SMLZ as he makes his way back out. And Doinb nearly completing his quest on Eye of the Watchers and his Athene's Unholy Grail.
Yep, that's gross. He's going to be a big old support Lulu that actually does damage, and that's what you hate to see. If the Lulu's ever dealing damage, generally like, okay, the game's not going well. If that Lulu can do anything. But the mid Lulu, the very rarely seen Lulu, and a fed SMLZ on the Cogmore could not be more right.
Oh, he actually was able to get around the vision here. Now he's finally going to be spotted. He steps in, going to engage on the SOFM. As the submarine is initiated, you can see Flandre joining in. It's 5 members again of Snake as they try to counterplay it this time. They will finish off SMLZ. Killua backing away as Mouse teleporting into his demise. And that's going to be Snake picking up one, looking for another. They're fighting it out. Flawless trades for another kill, but Doinb is still firing across as Killua baits it as best he can. Still, they are fighting in the exact same spot as last time.
Flawless has got a flank dom.
He certainly does, looking for a way in, trying to get some sort of reset. He steps forward onto the stealth, looking for Guogo, gets the damage, is not enough to kill him. He's taunted, shadow dash by Flandre. Flawless leaps to safety, and that's going to be Killua dying as he overextends. Doinb does not have the auto damage. And Snake are the ones that win this trade.
There's just not enough damage to secure kills instantly. It's so back and forth, it's so close. But if a fight starts with Cogmore dying, then Rogue Warriors, I mean, they're trying their best to compensate for that. They're trying their best to get kills. Doinb!
Flash Shadow Dash from Flandre! Snake get another kill on the board.
It's just stepping up when they shouldn't be as well. Snake are playing so coy around the fact that Rogue Warriors do push their luck. They constantly do that, and they're able to make them pay for it. They are keeping themselves in this game when they're against a massive Cogmore. You see this start, remember, Flawless was tracking SOFM, but with no hesitation, he flashes over the wall. With no hesitation, Guogo was already prepared. They were already there to take the fight, and they get themselves SMLZ from the get-go, and now they're routed. Snake are in a very awkward position where Flawless can get the first kill, and you're looking at this, you know, this is actually not a bad spot for Rogue Warriors to be in, with Doinb able to contribute damage. Then, of course, you remember that he is a support Lulu in the mid lane. His damage isn't that high. He's got an Athene's Unholy Grail, and it's on Flawless to contribute the damage. So he ults back in. He comes back in, but pretty much just dies straight away as the damage goes from Crystal and has to get out. Killua then dies. That's it. There's just no damage from Rogue Warriors to secure those kills.
Amazingly, they lost only Hudye in that extended engage, and still, it's only 1,000 gold difference between these two teams. As again, there is no hesitation from either of them to back up.
I'm actually just so impressed by SOFM's decision-making to go forwards with a lack of hesitation that is just unfounded.
Yeah.
They knew fully well that they were diving bottom lane, didn't care if they knew where Flawless was or not. The fact that that was the thought process is what allows them to still win that.
And already with the advantage that Rogue Warriors had off of the first time they tried that, you can only imagine how much worse it would be if they failed it a second time. But this time they put the faith in their mechanics, they put the faith in the low damage of Rogue Warriors, and they're able to walk away largely unscathed. Still though, we're watching Rogue Warriors back on the map. They've got themselves some healthy momentum. That said, there isn't too much that they can do with it until that next dragon spawns.
Yeah, we don't have item spikes for top laners as well, so their contributions start to feel a little bit weak for the moment. Mouse was just there to die in the last fight as well, unfortunately. And at the same time, a Titanic Hydra being rushed by Flandre to control those minion waves even better against the Cho'Gath. Killua, he's actually very caught if an axe hits. They're just afraid to follow up with the fight.
SOFM lets them off with a warning as Flawless steps forward. Spotted out by the zombie ward, and SOFM, excellent ward placement, just denying this vision that Rogue Warriors were so ruthless with in game one. Flawless is still so fast, though, with those Mobies.
Tom Kench does have the ultimate to cover distance to get here as well, but Snake, there was a control ward recently placed in that bush, so they're able to recall there safely as well. No one going to see them means that Flawless is also wasting his time. I really like the communication there from Snake so far. This second game, whilst it started off very shaky, they have turned that around with consistent decision-making. They are playing the game at their own pace. They're not letting Rogue Warriors bully them around.
And with that, we finally see Snake setting up some vision, denying that rough throttling out of vision from Rogue Warriors in this game one, keeping themselves safe. Guinsu's finally finished off for Crystal, as they are just buying time to get themselves back to even.
They definitely are. Of course, we have to look towards those next steps, however, in this game at 15 minutes in. We've mentioned what the compositions can do, and some of it's just very obvious, of course. Kog'Maw working seamlessly well with a Lulu that we're seeing in the middle lane. And a lot of damage from Mouse on the tanks to compensate, so it's not just going to be a one-threat composition. On Snake's side, we've seen them hit level 6. We've seen their composition now in effect, but we have to look past that. Can they split push? Can they 1-3-1? Something that they should actually be very good at.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. As for the time being, they are just focusing on keeping standard lanes. 15 seconds for that Infernal Dragon to spawn. Already Snake have littered the river with vision as Crystal pushing up bottom to try to match the push of Rogue Warriors, knowing that this could be a big point of contention. Hero's Entrance is ready for Guoguo. Stand United is ready for Flandre, and Mouse has got his teleport.
They certainly have the makings for that play. I just wonder at which point they're going to make it. I know the mid lane's just poking each other. Guoguo is super tanky, so he's just expending mana as he can to try and poke the Rod of Ages.
Ooh, Flawless finds SOFM. He's going to get some damage with that challenging
smite.
That Stand United. Flawless leaps away and kites it around the side, dodging the vision of his opponent. That's going to be a wild growth to keep him standing, but finally he goes down. Mouse joins the fight, but they've already lost a lot of damage. The bottom lane is trying to get in, but Abyssal Voyage was canceled, and they do manage to get the kill with a Devour from the likes of Mouse. It's turned into 2 1v1s. Doinby trying to kite back out against Guoguo. Cleanse Flash just in case, but he's able to get the solo kill on the side. Flandre tries to get revenge, but Rupture Mouse follows it up with another. It's all about the outplays here, as there was a skirmish in bottom lane too.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kog'Maw gets himself a kill bottom as well. They've actually found themselves between the turrets. Rogue Warriors.
Where are you going?
Oh, you know exactly where he's going. He smells blood.
Even Killua looping around allows Hujia to go around the far side.
But again, an extended fight happens mid constantly. These fights will go for over 20 seconds because it's a Lulu and a Galio duking it out in a 1v1. But in the end, this time, it's Rogue Warriors that still come up trumps. They're able to get themselves the kills. Mouse was able to contribute massively. That is the biggest difference this time around. And the fanciest feat that you've ever... Oh, wow. So this is how Snake choose to lose a 2v2. They wanted to stop the contribution towards mid lane. If Tahm Kench got in there, then things would have been a lot worse for the side of Snake. But it doesn't make it better here, does it?
Crystal steps up onto SMLZ. This is the exact same play that cost Snake playoffs just last year, trying to take the 1v1 against SMLZ.
And of course, for those who don't know, if Tahm Kench has gobbled someone up and Bard ults them, the person inside the stomach is still free to move.
Yep.
Which is why SMLZ comes out like, what the heck's going on over here? He just started attacking the closest target.
Sneaking forward, looking for some vision here.
I'm actually sad we saw the bottom fight instead of the mid fight. The way Flawless played that was incredible. Yeah. The dodges, the ability to get out as well. I don't know if he had the flash he does now, but he might have been able to live even.
He is everywhere with these mobility boots, except the top half of the map, because both of these teams know how valuable that bottom lane is. Still, SMLZ is 30 CS ahead, 5-2-2. Though Crystal is keeping pace, though he is a level down. He's finished off his Guinsu's trying to catch up to that Kog'Maw. But still, Infernal Dragon is started. Rogue Warriors, just like game one, get to the objective first.
This is a second Infernal Drake though, so this is very significant for Rogue Warriors to pick up for themselves. We haven't mentioned this yet in this game, but we are seeing it evidenced one more time. SMLZ is a crit Kog'Maw, and he has got 2 Infernal Drakes to scale him up even further. This is a very dangerous prospect for Snake to be fighting against. And it's getting worse and worse.
Take a look at that third dragon, Rusty. It is a third Infernal. There are now 6 minutes for Snake to try to get themselves into a position to fight for this, because if that's 3 Infernals on a crit Kog'Maw, Snake won't stand a chance.
I'm actually of the opinion that the next 6 minutes are the most crucial for Snake before that Kog'Maw gets the next items completed. He's gone for a bit of a hybrid between both items, the Infinity Edge and presumably a Runarn's Hurricane, but it could be anything with SMLZ and his crit items. But once he starts to complete those, you'd feel like it's a little bit too much damage for Snake to deal with a Lulu completing Athene's and Ardent Sense are already there. They're fully empowered to protect him. They just need the item spikes to be done.
Look at this. Doinby's roaming up towards the top half of the map. Lulu he may be, but could contribute a bit here as he just clears out that ward in Tri-Bush. Already you can see Guoguo actually rushing bottom, using the Justice Punch to get down there with SOFM.
They've also got the Bard ultimate to engage from a decent range. Ganking from the Tri-Bush is one of the most accessible places for them. Still top lane, the trade's going to be there. Note that Doinby does not have teleport, and Mouse does not have his currently available. This is a really good chance for Snake if they wanted to make a trade. The Infernal Drake's already gone. It's literally just to kill bottom lane. That's all they want.
Oh, but Flawless goes in. Look at the damage to Crystal. He is assassinated before he even knows what happened.
Yeah, so Rogue Warriors just made the one play you would never expect them to do, and I think that's what caught Snake completely off guard. If your mid laner and top laner without teleports are pushing top, there is just no world you're ganking and fighting bottom lane, because that's where Snake are. They're trading. But that was so much damage placed so quickly in a place that Snake didn't expect that the kill was just free.
Duskblade of Drakthar first. Flawless steps in as they're now diving between turrets. SMLZ takes some hits from those turrets, but that means Rogue Warriors push up onto the tier 1, breaking all 3 outers at 21 minutes.
That might have been a very deep place to use the Tahm Kench ultimate, but the idea was perfectly sound. Gets themselves the mid lane outer turret, grows themselves a 5k gold lead. We just mentioned how important the next 6 minutes were for Snake, with the next Drake being an Infernal, but the Baron's already alive, and that gold lead has just continued to stretch. Turrets have just dropped within minutes of us stating the importance of right now in the game. They've got their item spikes. If ever there was a moment to take a fight for Snake, you're looking at very soon.
It's still about a 2,500 gold difference between Doinby and Guogo. SMLZ just over that at 2,900. And with that recall, he finishes off Boots 2 and Infinity Edge. Even more damage coming out of this Kog'Maw.
As a random note as well, we saw the Infinity Edge, yes, but we look towards mid lane's builds to how they're going to protect him, and it's a Zeke's Harbinger, I believe. I don't know if it's changed any time. It changes a lot. But it's there to actually empower SMLZ that little bit further, of course. The active on it being super crucial when he ults. Doinby will always be using the ultimate to protect SMLZ, so it's a perfect, harmonious item for the composition once again. And most importantly, the reason I bring this up is it's cooldown reduction, very cheap. Very good item for the Lulu to get if it's all about empowering SMLZ and spiking earlier. It's not a scaling item, it's not an efficient late game item, but they want to be strong now.
Flawless spotted out on that top half of the map with Doinby. He still gets so much damage, leaps away from Crystal in time. Teleport going to be completed for Mouse. Righteous Glory immediately popped. He follows through the journey. Feast is ready, but Naturia is stalling it out. Crystal in the middle of the team goes low, and it's going to be finished off by Doinby's autos. SMLZ finally joins. Look at the damage that Kog'Maw is already doing. He wants it, but does not get the Bioarcane Barrage.
And he's able to step up with no one able to stop him. Kalua's just going straight into the Baron, it looks like. They finally get SMLZ into the Magic Carpet Ride, and there go Rogue Warriors. They get one pick. Now, it isn't SOFM. He is nearby, and he has the flash. Rogue Warriors still need to play this out correctly.
Level 11 to level 11. Flandre had teleported in. Guogua, Shield of Duran, used and canceled. SOFM over the wall. He's got the undertow. He goes in. He's going to look for the slam, but he has died. It's up to Flandre now. Can he do it? Oh, no, he cannot. The Devourer as Rogue Warriors finish off the Baron, and in that same move, cut off the head of the Snake.
He was in, but just a little bit early, and Rogue Warriors get everything they could possibly want and more with 3 more kills to follow, and suddenly Snake, their hopes and dreams in this best-of-3 series dwindle. There is not a lot left for them right now besides miraculous outplays. That Kog'Maw is scaled, and then some.
He absolutely has. Back onto the map, Rogue Warriors now have got so much tempo, so much momentum to try to break apart Snake's base. And while the early game was great for Snake in trying to stall out the game, it was just a few mistakes.
Look at SMLZ's damage over the wall. He just doesn't have a care in the world. This is the life for an AD carry. That's the life you want to live if you're ever playing the role as well. Just stand and deliver. The Cho'Gath, of course, has the Devour to secure the Baron. Snake, they should not have gone over the wall to protect their own life. That was a one-man affair.
We're right back into it, and SMLZ is inhibitor deep into the base. Already the inhib turret has been finished. He spits himself back out so that he can chase down even more kills. Rogue Warriors are chasing the clock in this game too.
Inhib's just gone, and it looks like Rogue Warriors, they could go bottom, but why go bottom when you can threaten ending the game at 24 minutes right now?
Already SOFM steps up, has to run back to the base. Shadow Dash, but again, Killua with the save. Spins him forward as they chase it down. A double kill for SMLZ. Denied the triple, but won't be denied the game as he turns onto the Nexus of Snake.
There is no stopping this steam train. They get themselves the victory.
25 minutes in, Snake emerge from the Snake Pit unharmed.
And they should emerge smiling as well. Maybe everyone but SMLZ. We'll have to see. It's a rarity that he will at all, but he was put on a pedestal. He was empowered, and they set up the AD carry of Rogue Warriors to succeed. And succeed they did.
Again, you can hear the fans chanting, the Rogue Warrior fans. Though smaller in number, no smaller in volume, no smaller in pride for their team. As you could just see, Rogue Warriors looking like it's just another day in the office for them outside of Doinby with a small grin, and Snake on the far side, suffering their first loss in weeks.
Yeah, this is a very important moment for both Snake and Rogue Warriors. There's a top of the table clash between both teams, East versus West. You're getting to see first versus second in each respective conference. And Rogue Warriors don't just beat them, they 2-0 them in their home arena. And they made it look easy, Dom. It was a 24-minute victory in that second game. It was a bit chaotic early, yes, but once they find their footing, Rogue Warriors look like a side that you can't stop.
Absolutely ruthless momentum, and like we said a bit earlier, it seemed almost personal at how Rogue Warriors were attacking and exploiting the weaknesses of Snake. And Snake recognized their own flaws. Their bottom lane just wasn't quite keeping pace. They threw everything they had to try to turn it around, but again, Rogue Warriors just had the mechanics to outplay and close out that series.
And I do think the Bard pick was a very questionable pick in the end, of course. You can talk towards the merits of the choice, how it actually does very well in accelerating a 2v2 between them as well. Varus and Bard should smash a Tahm Kench and a Kog'Maw early, but when everyone comes to bottom lane, when you can't isolate that in just a 2v2, that's where there's room for error. And the way Flawless was playing it, the fact that he was always down there, the fact that Doinby is able to contribute constantly, removes the strength that they had in their draft. And that is something that does need to be explored from Snake just a little bit more. If bottom lane's a weakness for them or a strength for their opponents, they need to perhaps reassess the way that they're drafting that one out to succeed.
Hey, very well, just might. It's only a few weeks until playoffs, but now it's up to our analysts to try to break down that series.
Well, Dom said it best. Rogue Warriors were able to escape the Snake Pit alive, and they did so in fantastic fashion as well, running their signature team composition almost in game number 2.
Yeah, I want to talk real talk, though. For the fans, YouTube, Twitch, that just watched that game, you have just seen probably the best high-level League of Legends that we have had all year in the LPL. That was actually just a joy to watch, both Flawless and SOFM, and especially how we were rotating around mid lane priority.
Yeah, and there was a lot of points where Snake actually came out ahead a little bit. SOFM with his first clear, his signature first clear of delaying his red buff taking.
Yep.
It really threw Flawless up for a loop. That was so well played. But then their composition kind of fell apart when they couldn't secure their early laning leads. And that's where I think we need to go more into the ban picks.
Yeah, fair play to Snake. They were able to play their composition quite well. It was a dive-based team composition. We saw it work out a couple of times for them. But
it's all off
Rogue
Galio
Warriors
and
just looked
Shin. it's a highway to hell type of comp. Yeah, I want to talk about Rogue Warriors comp. So the thing is we've been talking a lot about Lee Sin and how Lee Sin really acts as a counter to Olaf in the LPL, and we're like, okay, the dice have been thrown. It's probably going to be the flawless Lee Sin. He's undefeated on the champion, and instead he goes for the Kha'Zix, and that was kind of the defining core for me when I looked at Rogue Warriors comp. You have Cho'Gath, you have Kha'Zix, you have Tahm Kench, and you have Kog'Maw. An AD carry who, if he goes standard itemization, usually has a 2-item power spike, and in this case did rush the Blade of the Ruined King. This is a burn Baron monster objective comp. You are never going to get a Baron from them, especially on blue side. This was popularized by EDG in summer of 2017 because of how Kha'Zix's passive works around the brushes for the red side, and then when he prioritizes Duskblade, he can get invisible and proc the passive through all of them, and basically one person walks in, they get blown up, and you immediately jump onto the Baron with the isolation damage, the feast, the AD carry that has a massive power spike at 20 minutes, and then on top of it, the Tahm Kench ultimate to drop him right into the pit.
And we did see a Baron take from Rogue Warriors, but it was later on in the match. Mostly it was Flawless running around in the bottom lane or trying to secure dragons for his team. And that's where a lot of the action was taking place, around the bottom side of the map, where Snake constantly tried to dive Rogue Warriors behind their first turret, but almost every single time just backfired against them.
Yeah, and a lot of the problems is Snake are trying something new here. We have to point that out. This is the first time that we've seen Houdier on Bard, and the second time only we've seen a Galio being played by Guogul. And the coordination really wasn't there on the first dive. You could see how late Guogul was in the fight. The fight started when he was about to back. And that's not typically how teams would play around the Galio. That speaks to inexperience and them trying out new things. However, I think the idea for the composition was sound. They don't want to take the 5v5, they want to defeat in detail and basically pick apart at Rogue Warriors comp.
Yeah, and it was basically just Rogue Warriors having better synergy and a better well-oiled machine. You could see that Flawless was always in the back pocket exactly when he needed to be, that Doinby was always communicating when he would have priority, when he would have roam potential, and they were constantly moving together, whereas Snake's pieces aren't moving at the right times. They're very reactionary to themselves.
Yes.
They certainly were. And Rogue Warriors is a composition they've played time and time again. Protect SMLC. He picked up the Cogball. Doinby's back on Lulu in the mid lane. You've got Killua on Tom Kench once again. They even itemized to try and protect him. Again, he's gone for Blade the Ruin King, gone for more of an AD-based build. But Doinby had Athenes. He had more support items than I could count, even picking up the Zeke's Harbinger as well.
Yeah, it's called the Zeke's Convergence. It's an
How
item that
dare you?
Oh, you play by play. But it is an item that we don't see that much. And it just, if you look at the items from the mid laners, it really tells the story of these two teams. You look at Galio, he's building ROA. He's building the Proto Belt. He's building for damage and backline threat. And that's the problem with the Snake. Even though they changed their picks, they're still the same team. They still want to play in the same style. They still need the same output from Guoguo. That isn't the case on Doinby's side. Doinby can play with the flow on 8.4. He doesn't need damage. He has SMLZ. And the really interesting thing about the builds from SMLZ, because we asked Snake about this, is because if you're playing two AP solo laners in the top and also in the mid lane, a lot of times you can get away with the AD triple crit build that SMLZ really favors. You do more damage because the enemy team is not going to itemize correctly against you.
Yeah, and they were able to do so successfully in that matchup against Snake. Snake's top laner, Flandre, we didn't see too much of him in this entire series. Picked up Gangplank in game number 1. Game 2 didn't see too much because of the action was all on the bottom side of the map. And we didn't get to talk about Flandre too much during the first match, but we identified him as one of the key win conditions for Snake, and he didn't really show up today.
I'm going to predict this is the fall of Snake. Like I said, I thought that they were really buffed up by the patch, particularly, again, the Vladimir, the Gangplank come to mind. We even saw Snake in game 1 going back towards that Gangplank, and again, Gangplank's still strong. We just saw Kingzone, destroy KT with the Gangplank up into the top lane. It does have its value, but Snake are too reliant on Flandre to do too many roles for them. Again, it's the teams aren't, Snake's members aren't plugging into each other. Gogo's not always in the right position. He's not moving with SOFM the right time. Hude and Crystal are sometimes on a different page. And Flandre was able to cover for this because he had such powerful picks like the Vladimir, like the Gangplank, and now that he's on something like a Shin and they're moving away and they're not quite fitting into the meta as well as Rogue Warriors are, I think it really exposes Snake. And I don't think they're going to adapt to the 8.4 meta at all.
I would put it another way. I just think their bot lane is way too inconsistent, and that is why Flandre needs to carry all of the work. He needs to carry the tanking load, and he also needs to carry the flanking load on the same time. And those are mutually exclusive roles that you have on the team, so he can't be both at the same time. That's the problem.
And in all honesty, when you look at the top 4 teams, and we're going to talk about kind of like our big heavy hitters, not just the standings, but you've got Rogue Warriors, SMLZ. You have RNG on the upswing. That's going to be Uzi. You've got Invictus Gaming with Jackie Love. You have EDG with iBoy, and then you have Snake with Crystal. And Crystal's but in that company, Crystal is less than mediocre. You know what I mean? Like, middle of the pack, if you look at all 4 teams, Crystal's fine. But he is not cutting it right now. And to Snake's merit, and when they do win games, it doesn't matter if Crystal is their ADC. It's pretty much non-existent.
And we said for Rogue Warriors that middle of the pack wouldn't cut it for them either in this season. You're grouping up together as from many different teams, bringing in a rookie like Killua. They had to perform well, and they've done so far during the split. They're now 10-2, trying to contest for a playoff spot later on in the season. In fact, Flawless was able to pick up MVP in that last match. We said that it was going to be revolving around the junglers between these two teams, and it certainly did in game 1 and 2.
Oh, the way he managed to punish that bot lane when he had the lead was absolutely a joy to watch. The Moby boots into the Duskblade. Basically, he goes out of the bush and then stealths once. The enemy AD carry is gone. Cannot take the damage from him. I really like how he prioritized the bot lane, prioritized their win condition, and snowballed.
Kind of reminded me of the Dandy special, who popularized rushing the Moby boots, because that way, if a gank doesn't work out, or if you do your jungle, instead of immediately going back to the jungle, you immediately reset your position, and then it's very hard for the other team to track you effectively. And it just felt like Flawless was always the first one to the punch, that SOFM was not necessarily struggling to keep up with him, but they were struggling to contain Flawless, and he was always playing catch up.
And we said, SOFM doesn't look like Olaf's going to be a big pickup for Snake. Not going to work out too well for them, and it doesn't. We said Flawless potentially pick Lee Sin into it. Said he's very confident picking up Kha'Zix, gets that MVP performance, and is able to propel Rogue Warriors to a victory there. And it seems like they're on the upswing completely. I mean, they've had a great split so far. They've got some really well-known players, and we always look towards the unseen whale, which is the deadliest, Killua in the bottom lane. He looks fantastic right now. We talked about him in Game 1, and he did well in Game 2 as well.
It's just about how well-rounded I feel Rogue Warriors are right now. 8.4 as a meta suits them really well because they are a very heavy mid-jungle priority team because Doinby acts as a secondary support, and then they're able to play a hyperscale ADC into the bot lane. Uzi talked about how he literally likes the Tristana right now because he feels like it's safe. And so I just feel like 8.4 suits them. They have a good read on it, and they're really cohesive and a lot of experienced players across the board.
Yeah. So we want to go through a little bit about like how 8.4 is really shaping up the meta, because I think that's a really good point to go off of that. We see basically bot lanes are there's more hyper carries in that bot lane. We see the Tristana, the Caitlyn, the Kog'Maw still there. And for mid lanes, because we have the Sion pick, a lot of these mid laners are just going to standard like clear wave and tank type of champions between the Karma, the Sion, and basically the Galio. And that just fits Doinby so well. We talk about him being the defensive mid laner, the 0 AP Kassadin. That's exactly like a Christmas present for him.
It fits everyone in Rogue Warriors incredibly well. Not just Doinby, you got SMLZ who wants to play those hyper carries as well, and everyone can protect him. And Flawless as well.
Yes, because with the removal of the tracker snipe, it means that gank junglers are that much higher of a priority. Flawless is already a dynamic blitzing forward jungle, and he also has a secondary support in a mid laner to follow him up, who always prioritizes the wave clear.
He almost smiled right there. Ladies and gentlemen, we almost caught footage of him smiling. That's harder to catch than like Bigfoot.
I mean, potentially. They do have to play against OMG eventually, and then potentially we could get SMLZ getting his revenge, and that's where he can get his smile. But OMG will be playing later today, so everyone who is watching back at home, we're going to go into an extended break, but RNG taking on OMG live from the Chengdu Stadium will be up next.